Welcome to my forever world. We just completed our first village transformation in a spruce village, and we're taking our new happy ghast friend to our next stop, the flower forest. Now that we finally reached the location of where we'll be transforming this little island into a flower forest village, there are a few things we need to get established. We'll need to get some new armor and tools since I decided to leave all of my diamond tools and armor in the spruce village in our museum. I also want to find a very cute spot to make a little starter house, and I also want to get started on a very important farm for this island, which is a honeycomb farm. Now we're going to quickly land our little ghast friend down on the ground here. Next, we're going to do the basic punching of a tree to get some basic resources, and I'm also going to get ourselves a fence post so that I don't need to keep holding on to our little friend here. And this should be the last log. There we go. Doing the basic starting Minecraft things all over again. Feels a little bit strange, but at the same time, it's always a fun time. So we'll get a pickaxe for me and a fence post for our friend here, and we'll leave them right there. Welcome to the new area, buddy. I hope you like the flower forest. I'll also leave my bed here, and if I go out into freecam, I actually really like the placement of where we set down our little crafting table and bed and our ghast friend here, because I do want to have our house probably be right around here, and I think I want to put the honeycomb farm in this little mountainside hill here, and I think it would be kind of cool if the windows where you can see the bees at work were in the shape of the hexagon honeycomb modules, and I think it will look really cute just against this little mountainside. But first things first, we need to spend some time collecting up some stone for new tools, and then going and looking for some iron so that we can get proper geared up before we start collecting resources for our new starter house. We've got our first stone pickaxe of the flower forest village and our first stone axe. I also think I'm gonna use some doors because I did see that nearby there are kind of some caverns. Some of them have water in them, and I feel like doing some water caving could be an easy way to hopefully find ourselves some iron somewhere. Oh, there we go, perfect. Alright, since it is nighttime, I'm a little bit concerned about going above ground, and so part of me is curious if I should just wait out the night underwater here, or if I should risk it and run back for my bed. This could be a mistake to start out this little flower forest village, but honestly, it wouldn't really be a red video if I wasn't, running for my life from mobs and things. So let's just see if I can get to my bed. I don't see anything around me, so we're gonna risk it. We're gonna sleep. Okay, there's a skeleton up there, but no creepers, so that's pretty good. Okay, perfect. All right, we've got our furnace. We've got 31 pieces of iron. We'll use the coal from the last village that we have, get that all smelted up, and then we can start collecting some resources for our new little starter house. And while we wait for that to smelt, I do need to collect up some wood because we're going to start making some campfires to put under some beehives that we find as we're exploring this area. All right, now we are going to search for some beehives around the area so we can start collecting honeycomb, because as far as the block palette goes for our little starter house, I do want to be using honeycomb and a few of the honey blocks. We're also going to be using the stripped cherry logs and the cherry planks. We'll also use some stripped oak and regular oak planks, as well as some of the pink terracotta and even some oxidized orange copper. And we found our first little bee nest, which is always exciting. And just so that I'm able to find it a little bit later on, let's just make a little pillar right here. And we'll use a torch so I can remember where it is, and then we're able to shear this honeycomb. I'm just gonna clear out some of these trees above me to make it a little bit easier to see. There we go. We got some honey from the first one. All right, let's go around, find a few more of these little beehives, and see how many we'll end up having around our area. All right, we found 6 different beehives, which is a great start to us collecting up the necessary honeycomb to create all of the blocks that we need to build our starter home, because we're going to use a lot of the honeycomb on our roof. So we're going to need to be stopping by these little beehives quite frequently, or try to figure out how to get a silk touch tool quicker, because I'm not going back to my other village. We are going to stay in the flower forest village and work here on collecting what we need. But we are going to be using the honeycomb block, so we do have a long ways to go as far as collecting resources goes. But one of the resources that will be easier to collect up is some oak wood. So I think what we'll do is we'll first and foremost, we will start by getting some chests set up in the classic start to Minecraft, and we'll place all of those tools and resources that we're going to be using. And we also have our first wooden pickaxe of the flower forest village, which we'll use in a museum piece as well. And since we've got that 31 iron all done, let's quickly make ourselves some armor. We'll do a full set of iron armor. And there we go. We are already a little bit more geared up and safe. So if I do come across skeletons, I won't be getting into trouble. And we will make an iron axe and an iron pickaxe for starters. Now, one thing that I am okay doing is going back to our previous storage areas and raiding the resources that we do have. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to take our little happy ghast friend, and we are going to make our way over to our other village, and we are going to grab a bunch of the oak wood that we have over there so that it makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to get everything we need to start building our starter house. Once our friend comes back down to visit us, that is. There we go. All right, now let's go back to our little spruce village storage cellar where all of our items are and collect some resources. We're also going to need to go over to this Badlands Mesa because I need to collect up a bunch of terracotta and turn that into the pink terracotta. And on a previous live stream, I did raid a trial chamber which had a bunch of the waxed orange copper, so we're also going to go back down into the caves to collect a bunch of that too. But first things first, let's head back to our spruce village. Now, while I'm here collecting the copper, I do like the idea of every village that I have getting to keep a happy ghast, because if I go into a free cam, just having this little guy kind of float around, moving, just adds some life and movement to the area. And since we hatched that one over there and missed the in-between stages, hopefully we'll be able to catch this guy's in-between stages. And in the meanwhile, we just go back to collecting all the resources we need for our starter house. So we spent the next bit of time collecting up some oak wood, cherry wood, a bunch of terracotta to turn to pink terracotta, and a bunch of copper from the trial chambers. And in between collecting resources, we checked on our little happy ghast until they finally grew and we could start feeding them some snowballs. Look at him, he's grown up! Oh my goodness, look at this little guy! Oh my gosh, the ghastling sounds so happy! Look at you, buddy! Can I just like spam these and you grow up? Yum, look at you. Oh my gosh. And they have like a little pink underbelly. They kind of look like a cow udder, but in like a cute little critter kind of a way. But for now, I'm going to just have them be tied up here so they don't wander too far. But look at him. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. The happy gastlings are just so adorable. I love it. With our ghast grown up, we put their new harness on and brought them back to the flower forest biome. All right, we've collected up a bunch of the terracotta and we have pink petals to change it to pink. We've got our copper, we've got our cherry, we've got our oak logs, and we've got some of our honey blocks slowly getting built up. But this is the color palette that we are going to make our starter house out of. So the walls are gonna be this pink terracotta. We're gonna have the roof trim be oak, and then we're gonna fill in the trim with a mixture of the copper and the cherry and the honey blocks. So we, especially on the honey block part, it will be a work in progress. So we might just temporarily make most of our roof out of the copper cherry wood until we actually get enough bottles collected up and honeycomb collected up to make more of the blocks. So we're gonna clear out some space to build the very first house of the Flower Forest Village. All right, I've cleared out space and going into freecam. This is the footprint of the house. I am gonna keep it relatively small because we are gonna add some other things up on this hillside here. So I do want to just keep this small. And because I'm also kind of thinking that this will be our starter house, but I kind of want to build an actual storage house at some point, which is also why there's more space over here, because we could definitely add something like that on the sides here or into the mountain. We've got options, but since this is the footprint, we're just going to get building and add in our walls, our ceiling, and our roof. And one small chest monster later, we have our completed starter house, and I love it so much. It's so cute. I'm really excited to use this color palette throughout all of the builds, and even on the map, it looks so cute, especially with the flowers that we added. And I think the flowers being these larger tulips and just kind of different flowers to match what's already around in this flower forest is gonna be a really fun touch. I'm really excited to add just some giant flowers scattered around everything, but now that we've got the house done, I can show you the interior that I added, which is pretty simple right now. This is mostly just gonna be a little decorative spot. We've got some chests in here, but mainly just a crafting table. Really, this place is gonna be the storage for this area underground, and then this is just the starter storage, so if we do need to expand this, we can. And we can just keep going down this way if we need to, but I also think it could be nice if we just make a genuine storage build. But for now, we've got our bed, we've got storage, we've got crafting tables, and I think this is really cute. Now, the next thing that I want to work on is behind the starter house on this cliffside hill here. And this is where I want to add in our automatic bee farm for the honeycomb and the honey bottles. So I'm thinking we'll get at least 3 different honeycomb hexagons right here. And we'll just work on carving out the side of this mountain to make those shapes. I think as far as the glass color, we'll probably use some orange glass, maybe some yellow glass. But then I did bring a bunch of iron, we've got sticks, we've got gold and redstone to be able to do all of the redstone stuff to make this auto farm work and function. And I think it's gonna be a really cool backdrop to have our little honeycomb hexagons just in the background of our little starter house for our flower village. And once I got the honeycomb farm all dug out, we moved to collecting some quartz in the nether so we could make the necessary redstone supplies we'd need to get the auto part of the auto honeycomb farm completed. Back in the overworld, we set up the campfires, beehives, flowers, and we led some curious beads into their new home. Then we started working on the redstone portion of the farm. Once we had one side of our first hexagon completed, we started on the other side till it was all set up as well. We then spent time breeding up the bees to fill the hives and then started working on the honeycomb collection system, which was harder than I thought. Alright, so I thought my idea was clever to have this minecart looping between the 2 sides that have our bees and the honeycomb getting collected, but as soon as it stops to drop off any of the honeycomb, it just gets stuck, which then means that it wouldn't pick up any other honeycomb because it gets stuck. So I have to rework this, which means probably just keeping it on one of the sides and calling that good. So we're just gonna grab this guy if I can. Oh my goodness, can I even grab this? Here we go. So what we're gonna do is move this little setup over to one of the sides over here, and hopefully this will work much better. So after setting up the farm's redstone again, just to have it not work either, we scrapped the whole redstone idea and just set up a ton of hoppers in a line, since on a live stream we had set up an iron farm at spawn. We officially have all of our honeycomb blocks able to be crafted up, which means that I can finish the exterior of this first little bit right here. We've got all of our honeycomb blocks, and I just literally needed 4 right in these corners. And we've got one of our little beehive honeycomb guys all completed now. And if I back up in freecam, this is what it looks like. Of course, because there's so much stone here and I want this to look prettier, we're gonna get some grass here, probably some moss. But I think this looks really cute. And then we're just going to dot probably another one right in here, and then another third one up here a little bit higher, so there's some variety to the dimension and they're not all just on the same one line. But I think this looks really cute, and I think we'll also incorporate some honey blocks to this, and maybe we'll have some like honey dripping out of here, something like that. But I think it'll look cute. But for now, we can close this and we can just start getting our spruce collected up, put all of our redstone-y bits away, and get to work on the other 2. I'm a little bit embarrassed by how long it took to just get this one little honeycomb beehive section completed, but luckily now that I know that I'm just gonna use the hoppers in order to collect all of the honeycomb, the rest of this should go a whole lot quicker. I am once again back in the Spruce Village because we need to take a little pit stop and go and use the auto wood farm, because I do need a lot of spruce. And even though I could easily just farm it with some spruce saplings and use what I have collected up so far, I figured we might as well use the farm that we created. So let's swim our way down and go do some chopping of some wood. Well, I guess it's more of like exploding the wood, because we just kind of stand there and let the TNT duper do its thing. All right, we are up on the surface. Don't shoot me. Ooh. Okay, we made it, and we've got all of our spruce logs starting to come on in. And so once these get all collected up, we are gonna go back over and finish our final little honeycomb farm for all of our honeycomb and honey bottle needs. All right, we're back down in our cozy little skeleton XP farm because I need to collect up some more bows for building up some little dispensers. And I just noticed one of these has flame and infinity. So we finally got a good bow for our flower forest village. So this is actually so good. And I will continue to use the villagers from the spruce village so we can easily go get ourselves some mending on any of the armor that we collect up once we finally go get diamonds, and fortune to get some more diamonds. And we're just gonna hang out here slicing some skelly toes to finish out one of our honeycomb modules. As we sliced some skellies, we were adding the bows into the crafting table to make enough dispensers to complete the last honeycomb farm, getting all the last bits of redstone farm mechanics in place until we were finished. Alrighty, after what seems like an eternity, we finally have all 3 honey modules completed. I've added some decorations around here, and this place is looking so cute to our wonderful start of our flower forest village. We've got our 3 little honeycomb hive modules. I've started adding some honey blocks outside so that it starts to look like we actually have honey dripping and coming out of our little honeycomb auto farms. We've got lots of honeycomb already getting all collected up. We've got our orange flowers to match the orange aesthetic we're going for inside the hives here. But I think this is so cute. I'm really happy with it. Through this door is where I also made little roadways and connecting paths to get to the other ones. I still need to breed up more bees, so I have a bunch of flowers here. And then once the bees have been bred up and I have enough bees in here, Then we're gonna cover over all of the dispensers and everything, so they're boxed in here. But we've got this one right here, and then we can just go down this little stairway past the main exit and entrance and work our way up here to this other one, which is pretty much the exact same thing. We've got our orange tulips in here as well as some orange flowers. Obviously, still gotta do some interior decorating for the ceiling, but that will be a future red problem. But with our automatic honeycomb farms all created, that wraps up our first episode of our flower forest village. I hope you guys are excited for a brand new village transformation to take place. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!